So, right. Do you want to build some classes, Banks? Banksy.
No, just keep muting my mic and unmuting it.
Alright.
Anyway, how many do you want?
5, 6. Let's go get range as well. And move to the center, please.
Where'd you get the upgrades for these? Because I don't play Pro Sassel.
No, I just want you to move classes to just imba.
Oh, okay, cool.
They're imba.
I got my ears on.
Alright, so you normally have a couple more stalkers than that. So I have Blink, Archons, and Charge, and you have 6 beastie class out. So alright, actually.
You require my skills. Cold is the void. You require my. I am the voice.
Okay, so there's your battle. So when obviously you find the classes, obviously this is a very no sombrero, this isn't my computer. Sorry, bro. So yeah, this isn't a battle you're gonna have in a game because, well, you never get 6 classes by themselves, and this is just to demonstrate what you kind of want to do against Bora. So kind of 1A move towards me, bro, and I'm gonna micro against this. So you got a micro. And and then you blink, and then you'll just get a surround on them pretty much. Obviously you're gonna have to. That was ridiculously easy because it was only classes, and sorry if I made you think you had a chance at Banks, but you didn't. But when you fight classes, because like you've seen the 6 classes there, you gotta come from the sides and stuff like that. You want the chunk of units in the center, but mainly come around the side, which are your blink stalkers. Because he'll have the units there, and then you blink behind his colossus, and then you kind of cut off the retreat path. Yeah, just if you're undecided on what race to play, just go into like play the AI and just random it. Because like I was saying in the last episode, you always want to play against the AI when you first begin the game, because the AI kind of knows what's going on, whereas if you just jump into ladder, you're going to get like bronze, and playing against bronze isn't going to really help you too much because they don't know what they're doing either. Is this just SC2 for new guys? It is at the moment, Justin Gordon. This is only episode 3, so at the moment we completely started on the basics of what people would want to do, like we went over the units and stuff like that, and now we're on episode 3, so we're slightly getting more in depth, like today's micro and stuff like that, and then next one's going to be kind of like macro and etc, etc. Do people have any conversations on any questions on any other type of unit composition fights they'd like to see?
A question that I think would be helpful just to anyone watching is, as a new player, what do you reckon is a safe standard build to go for with each race in particular?
Each race?
Like something early to start up with.
Yeah, just okay. That's not the super easiest question, but obviously I have to cover all different races for all different races. So PV, well, Protoss, I would say the pretty safe one is 2 gates and 2 gate variations with a robo, especially for PVT and PvP, and then for PvZ you want something like a 3 gate, because that gives you a lot of variations. Normally against the Zergs you want a lot of sentries, so you get 3 gates, pump a lot of sentries, and then you expand. For the Zergs, I would say for the standard safe build is something like a 14 gas, 14 pool, which is speedlin opening. You get your 100 gas immediately, get speed, and then you expand just before that, and you react accordingly. And then Terran's quite easy. You just wall off, so nothing can get into your base. Go for 12 racks, and sorry, go for 12 racks. Get your gas, and obviously play it safe from there. That's normally the standard. It goes from there, and you either get like an extra racks, or you expand, or you get an extra 2 racks, whatever you want to do, all in, if you like.
Question as well. Is there an easy way to blink micro in large battle to quickly blink wounded stalkers back?
In large battles, sadly not. That just takes you. Do you want to get a bunch of marine marauders?
How many?
A lot. I got
Got 15?
Yeah, a couple more. Yeah, that's cool.
20 now.
Fine. That's fine. Sadly, no. As battles get bigger with blink stalkers, you won't have the APM to individually blink them back. It's normally the first couple you'll do, and then you normally want to do them in about groups of 3. All right, you ready? Fight.
Yep, I haven't got conch shell or anything.
So it'll be like groups like that. Your control's bad.
That was a complete misclick by me.
Yeah, I know this. I was clicking a bit too fast there, my cooldown was down. But yeah, as you've seen then, you pretty much, in bigger groups after say like 10 to 15 stalkers, you kind of want to group them in bunches and just flick them back, don't? Because most of the time, by the time you spawn an individual one, because there's so much damage output of the marine marauder, you just you lose the stalkers too fast. This is slow motion. This is normal speed. Normally games are faster than this.
Yep.
Like. Come at me with 2 swarms, bro. It's not cool.
Two whole
Cool.
sections to go. Okay, Nidus is fun. I don't see Nidus get used much at all, to be honest. As Zerg, you can just Nidus.
Yeah, you can do that, but that's you don't really see that all that often, even though that's a legitimate strategy. I guess it relies on too much good timing, because if you miss like the first fungal growth and he gets 2 units in front and they're in range, you're kind of screwed.
What about this one then? Question: where is the ideal place to put entry Nidus in late game when you have 4 to 5 bases?
Pool. In terms of attacking, you wanna put them in a spot where it's not going to get easy picked off. So if we're talking, say, a map like Metalopolis, and it's quite late game, you got a 50-50 split in the map, I would say in between the gold and the 3rd, which is around that area. So it's not too close from all his bases where he's going to go and kill it. It's not that close. At the same time, it's close enough to the bases where the reinforcements will get there at a sufficient time to make it worthwhile. How do you counter the wall off from Terrans, even when Protoss? I can't read all of that question. Could you? My window browser is a little.
Basically, it says, where have we got it now? I think this got missed. How do you counter the wall off from Terrans, even when Protoss do it with cannons?
What? Protoss don't wall off with cannons? You mean as a Zerg? There's nothing you can really do. You can Baneling bomb it, but that's normally what Terrans do to be safe. So to counter that, you have to do some sort of hyper aggression, which isn't normally worth it, because that's the point of the wall. I would say that the races are all pretty even. They have just completely different understandings of mechanics and how you want to play. Like, I would say Protoss are more. They take a bit more of an, good thinking and good unit control, and they're very rewarding, like the Protoss race, and they're very unforgiving in terms of like the macro mechanic, like the warp gates. If you miss a warp gate timing, every second after that, it's just wasted time. Things like the Zerg, they're not so unforgiving in terms of macro because of course lava bank, so you can just bank lava at the hatches and make a bigger round later. And then of course Terran, you can queue your units, so the macro is fine for them as well. So that's subtle differences like that. Then obviously the core mechanics of how they build their buildings and generally how they build their units. There's a few different things. Zerg are also the reactionary race to the class deaths because of how they can produce units in one massive batch of units. They can make like 50 ultras if they wanted. So they react because they just want as many drones and they just chill with the money, and then when they see you attack, they make the units. That's kind of how the Zerg play, whereas Protoss, you warp in units and you do it that way. Terran, you just queue your units. It's always better to go for probes and stuff like that because you're hurting their economy, and probes or SCVs or drones have less health, so it's much higher chance of killing a probe than it is a pylon. So most people will go for the probes because it's just, like as D9 always says, it's guaranteed damage. 50 health on an SCV is better than 400 health on the depot. Lots of people argue that Protoss is the most OP race in terms of the late game, and I think that's quite agreeable because of the gateway mechanics of them. Like if you get really late game in a PV whatever, if you get like 50 gateways and 3 warp prisms and send them all to the different map, and then you have a 200 army in the center. As things die from that 200 army, you just warp it into his base, and then like if you warp in crap ton of stuff to his 4th, and he goes and sends a few units there, then you warp in units to his main, and then you just split him apart like that. He won't have the multitask and send units everywhere, and you just, as soon as something dies, you just warp in. That's so easy to abuse as a Protoss. It's really, I think, one of the most broken things in the game. No problem, I thought. Alright, do we have any more questions, people?
We should keep going because we're doing pretty well holding up our viewers at the moment, so we'll just,
yeah, man, we got 2,000.
Just stay consistent.
Definitely.
Also, remember at the end of this week, so the next episode is going to be on Thursday, guys.
Yes.
Of Chobo to Gosu, that is. And after that episode, we will be asking for anyone who's been in this chat to submit a replay of them using something they've learned while watching the show, and you can win a prize from Antec, who's our sponsor.
Yes, you can. Alright, here's one question from Pandemic. Alright, getting out of a Protoss cannon rush. Oh. Alright, that's not an easy one. The first thing, you have to immediately build a forge, because he's going to have the cannons up before you have ranged units. So you have to counter that with ranged units for yourself, which of course cannons. And then there's other important things, like you'll get sorry, you'll get a lot of cannon rushes which start on the low ground, and then they'll build a cannon, and then they'll work their way up into your mineral line or from the edge of your base. There's a couple of ways to stop that. One is to deny vision entirely to the top of the high ground, so you block the ramp, send a zealot down, quickly snipe the probe out, put your own probes at the top of the ramp, and when it comes up you surround it. And then you can build straight up just a forge and build a cannon. If you get a cannon, say, at the top of your ramp, and he doesn't have vision on the top of your ramp, if he tries to send in like probes, they'll die. So there's ways around that. There's so many different types of ways of cannon rushing. There's the one where they go for your mineral line, and they build like 2 pylons between your mineral line, and then in between them they build cannons, and like you can counter that by just saving up and going to another base and building another main. But it's normally a forge you will need. That's just to keep their APM going. The